Hello, everybody. Here we are with my views from Tumortown again. Bruce, as always. Today, I'm going to talk about probably one of the more important hinge moments in my time at ABC in lovely Los Angeles. I was assigned to work the Emmys at the Dorothy Chandler Pavilion in Pasadena. Everybody was, oh boy, the Emmys. So I go out, I show up. What's my assignment? My assignment is to escort the winners from the backstage door of the Dorothy Chandler over to the banquet hall building where the press would be waiting to interview them and do whatever. I mean, you're talking about a walk of maybe 60 yards, nothing. And it wasn't just me, it was me and two girls. And I'm like, oh, you kidding me, This is, you don't need three people to do this for sure. So I'm standing there going, oh, great, this is a waste of a night, this is just going to be a joke. And I'm standing there in my stupid little page outfit, obviously. And out of the back doors come some people, Pam Dauber, and this other person, and, what's the guy's name that played John Boy on the Waltons? Can never remember his name. At any rate, they walk out of the door, and the guy that played John Boy, I had a relationship with, simply because I had sold him a stereo when I was working back at Pacific Stereo for his kid. Nothing big, nothing special, no big real connection, nothing that would, hey, you're my buddy for life, But there was something, an interaction that we had done, So there I am. And I'm like, oh man, I hope he doesn't recognize me. Because I don't want to be embarrassed standing here, in my stupid uniform. Oh gosh, And of course, Pam Dauber was like a girl everybody wanted to, date back then. She was gorgeous, So not that I could ever do that, but I'm certainly like, I just don't want to be in an awkward, feel like a boob, But sure enough, they're standing there chatting, and he keeps looking at me, and he finally says, you look familiar to me. Do I know you? And I'm like, yeah, you do. I was at Pacific Stereo. Oh, right, da 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 da. Back and forth. And, here's Pam Dauber. Hi, introduce, da da da. And I'm just like, I feel stupid sitting there in my silly little uniform, meeting these people like this. It just wasn't the situation I really would have wanted to be in. Kind of hard to leverage that in any real way, you know what I mean? So I was just beside myself. Of course, the two girls are like, bug-eyed. Oh my God, these celebrities are talking to him. Holy crap, who in the heck is he? They were mystified. So that, little exchange ends kind of awkwardly, and they're okay, well, thanks, bye, and they go back inside. Oh, great, okay. And I'm like, forget it, There's a little, like, pavilion thing, a gazebo out in the little park area. I just walk out to the gazebo and, get away from the chicks and the whole deal. And I'm just sitting there figuring, what the heck am I going to do, for the rest of the night. Next thing I know, I hear the backstage door open again. And I turn, and somebody's coming out of it, a guy. And he starts out and looks around, sees the gazebo, and starts heading towards the gazebo. I'm like, oh, great, what now? And, I kind of turn back, and then I turn back around as he's getting closer. And who's it turn out to be but James Garner? I'm like, oh, okay, James Garner. This isn't bad, He walks up, pulls out a cigarette, I pull out my lighter and give him a light. He's like, oh, thank you very much. No problem. He's like, oh, man, do I hate these things. I said, yeah, I know what you mean. I'm not real fond of being here tonight either myself, And we kind of, chuckle a little bit and whatnot. And I just honestly came right out and said, now, I know you'll never remember this, I said, but I have met you twice before in my life. And he's like, oh, what do you mean you met me twice before? I'm like, well, you came through my hometown when you were doing Maverick on television. And, you were doing promotions right as you went around. And my father happened to be the production manager of the local TV station. So he was your, like host while you were there. So while you were there, you went, you did your little promotional thing, and then he brought you by the house, met the family, blah, 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 da-da-da, and off you went back to the airport, whatever. And I said, I know you don't remember that. He said, no, I be honest, I don't, but, I certainly remember those tours. They were, pains in the butt. I said, I'm sure they were, I said, and the other time I met you was at the 12 Hours of Sebring in the pits, because my dad, again, had access to Pit Row as a journalist from the local TV station. So we got to get back in there, and we met you when you were as a driver on one of the teams, racing at Sebring. He was like, oh, gosh, really? I said, yeah, no, I know you don't remember any of that. I wouldn't expect you to, but, I just thought that's curious. And now here we are sitting out here on this gazebo, and we both kind of chuckled and stuff. And then I just, launched into talking about racing, things that we had in common, right? And we sat there and had a lovely, probably 10-minute conversation, maybe 15 minutes, chit-chatting about this, that, and the other thing, and I never, like took awe to him or asked for an autograph or any of that sort of thing. It was just two guys sitting out there having a cigarette, shooting the breeze, and it was just weird, but it was just one of those things that happened. And, okay, thanks, I got to go back in. I hate this thing. Hope your evening turns out as bad, or better than it can be. And I'm like, yeah, so same to you, He walks off, whatever. And I can tell the girls are just flummoxed, they just don't have a clue what the heck's going on here, Why this guy would stand out there chatting with me, James Garner, for God's sake. Oh, my God. They were just totally beside themselves. At that point, I decided, forget it. I'm not doing my job. I'm just going to go inside and see what I can find. So I go inside the backstage of the theater, and I just wander around, checking it out, get the feel of the place, where everything is, who's who knows what, who's got what information, blah, blah, blah. And the next thing I know, I get these two French guys come up, they see my uniform. They come up to me, oh, my God, blah, 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 blah. They're in dead panic. Got to find my dressing room, Oh, my gosh, well, who are you, and blah, blah, blah. We are the Muppets, the puppeteers for the Muppets. Oh, geez, oh, my God. So I know what to do. I go to this little PA station. I talk to the chick, find out exactly where their dressing room is. I know where it is. And I take them right there. Boom. They're like so pleased, so happy. They walk in. And, of course, while we've been doing this, I've told them, that I've been a Muppet fan all my life, that I've been in love with Miss Piggy, blah, blah, blah. So before they will let me leave, they get out Kermit and they get out Miss Piggy, and they let me shake Kermit's hand, and they let me give Miss Piggy a kiss. Now, what else can you say? I mean, life doesn't get better than that, right? I mean, there I am with two of my childhood memories, in front of me for real, shaking their hand and kissing. That was just a wonderful moment. And at that moment, I said, I've got everything out of this evening I could ever expect or want. I'm good, right? So I just kind of wander around. I end up finding myself in the wings, watching the show from the wings. And the next award that comes up is a Best Director of a Comedy Series. And it goes to Noam Pitlick for Barney Miller. And he comes up, gets his award, does his thing, and he comes off stage directly at me. He sees my uniform, obviously. So he comes right up to me and says, I need you to do me a favor. At the next break, can you go and get my wife? And he points out exactly where she is. And bring her to me over at the other building. I'm like, absolutely, not a problem. No way. I got that. So he goes off. I scope out what I need to do. The minute that break happens, boom, I'm there. I get her over there, take her right to him, done, everybody's great, love it, beautiful. And that was my last act of the night for the Emmy show. And nobody ever complained, nobody ever said boo, that I wasn't at my position all night or anything like that. Nobody seemed to care. So, I didn't think twice about it, went home, had a lovely night's sleep, and went on with my life. But later, that would come to play, and that's a story into itself. So we'll save that for another one. For now, peace and hang 10.